Hi, thank you, and welcome to the Zhonglok Zoom chat. And today is our time to celebrate the 1 year anniversary of Zhonglok Art Online. I started Zhonglok Art Online and offering online courses since August of 2020. And I have to say that, this is something that I was reluctant to do. When the pandemic happened and the lockdown started in March of 2020, I have a few friends and students that kind of asked me if I can do something online since we cannot gather anymore because they do miss my classes. And then also the in-person classes, the one that I have periodically with Plaza Art, has been all postponed until further notice. So I was reluctant to do it. And then March, April, May, June, when time continued to pass, and then we kind of know that pandemic is not going to go away in 2-3 months. With the encouragement from my students, I actually look into how can I offer things online. And unfortunately, at that time, although they are artists, they are teaching online, but then most of them are teaching Western art or crafts, and like the way that we do Sumie, we are doing it on the, kind of horizontal. And then, I need 2 cameras. And I have to say that it actually took me a while to figure that out, how to put 2 cameras. And one or the other, I did some research and I decided and picked a particular platform, and I launched my first online courses at the end of August in 2020. And as you probably know, they are the roses and the Pomo in ink and the Pomo in color. Those are a series of videos. And I continue to roll out, additional video series, maybe like 1 or 2 per month, continuously. And then when things progress, then, of course, like other platforms kind of exploded. And what we find out is that a lot of people are, like really interested in doing it via Zoom, which become a live workshop. Because one of the lacking things about the video is it's not as interactive. And in order to compensate for that, I actually added to my online courses the monthly Zoom chat, so students can ask, for example, the Q&A and things like that. And then we did talk about various things, including, like the red paste, where to sign, and like various brush stroke, how to hold the brush, load the brush, and things like that. So that has been successful as well. But moving forward, then in April of this year, I have added using Zoom to teach live workshops. And now is October, so we have done the live workshop for around half a year, and we will talk about it in our chatting sessions a little bit later. But then in today's sessions, what we are going to do now is we are going to celebrate our first anniversary. And in the Lunar New Year of this year, I did something different, that we have something that is like sharing our artwork to celebrate the new year. And we have very good feedback. So today we are going to share our artwork again. And the artwork doesn't have to be artwork that you created from my workshop. If it would be, that would be great. But then, if not, that could be, artwork that you just want to share or you're recently working on. And then, like it will be something fun to see each other and also get to know each other. So what are we going to do? We are going to do it now. And do I have a volunteer to start off? Don't be shy. Oh, okay, I have Terry raise her hand.
Yeah, I'll be first. I'm not that shy. Okay, so this is one of the hydrangeas that I did using your book and your instruction on your video. So there's the blossoms, there's the leaves. And then I did the peony when you came to the Watercolor Society. I was one of the artists painting along. So there's the blossom. And then there's the leaves. So those are my paintings.
Wow, they are really wonderful. I can see that you can hold it up because so you know
Which one?
other artists can see it. But then like on the hydrangea one is really beautiful, especially you put the darker color behind the forest, the florets. So you can actually see the kind of the more 3D effect of that. Yeah. So say something.
I'm trying to get the, let me get the brightness. I used your book as inspiration, and I like that wash in back of the florets. I thought that the leaves were a little dominant. I think when I do this again, I might use a darker ink to outline the petals.
Okay. Any of our fellow artists want to say something, or suggestions for Terry?
I love the colors she used.
No, it's beautiful.
They really spoke to the color of hydrangeas.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, very nice.
Thank
you. Terry,
you.
hold up the peonies. That is really beautiful. And it was a demo that I did for the Central Florida Watercolor Society. And the interesting thing is that initially when I was planning the demo, I was intended to do the what I call the powder collision with the opaque white, working on a color background to bring out the white petals. And that's what I planned to do. But then when I was just mixing the color, one of the artists who want to paint along, said that she actually didn't prepare white because for watercolor, some of them are purest, and for purists, they actually do not use white, whether it's opaque or transparent. They just don't use white. White is the white of the paper. So she said that, oh, Jung, but I don't have white. So I actually immediately changed the demo from doing the Lingnan style peonies into another style of peonies that is the one that Terry had done. And you can see in Terry's work, she really was very successful in making the petals in the front by saving the white. And when you see the few lines, those are actually the petals that are foreshortened. So Terry, say something so you'll be on screen so we can see the peony.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was following your instructions step by step, which were excellent. And thanks to you, I got a real nice blossom, and I double loaded the brush. And so I used water, and I think it was some kind of a violet that I used for my color.
Yes, it's beautiful. And the good thing is there's no opaque white or any white in it. The pink was just
Correct.
the
Yeah.
water and the color. The reason why you're using that is because the red that I did on the demo is actually not Alyssum Crimson. I have a tube of magenta, which is kind of like a bluish purple, a very reddish blue purple. And I have that tube from a friend, and I was staring at it and I'm like, what do I do with it? So I decided to use it to paint peonies, and I find that to be outrageously gorgeous. So that's why I used that on the demo as well. But thank you, Terry, for sharing. Yeah.
Thank you.
It was a great piece of work. Actually, both of them are great pieces of work. So
well,
I think Debbie actually raised her hand to show us her work. Debbie?
Right. I unmuted. Okay, your online courses came at a great time because COVID was very stressful. I was dealing with a mother that was slowly losing her fight, and she had passed away in May of 2020. And I just needed to do something that wasn't as tedious as my normal style of photorealism when I do watercolor. So I gravitated towards the Pomo kind of work. And this is the very first one that I did. The very first painting that I did from your online courses. And it was just what I needed. It was
Wow.
stress-free, it was relaxed,
Very beautiful.
and
Wow.
it's
That
got
is beautiful.
thank you. And I discovered a love of shikishi boards, especially the metallic ones, because the metallic ones really let the paint flow. So in the meantime, my husband and I finally got away to a few vacations, and we go to the mountains where there is no Wi-Fi. It's in upstate New York, 6 hours north of here. No technology at all. So all we do is read, take photographs, paint, canoe, kayak, that kind of thing. So I'm trying to mix my way of doing Eastern art with my love of landscapes and all my photos that I have. So I came up with this. This is my very latest that I did. And the sky is poured, the mountains are poured. The mountains were manipulated just a little bit after I poured them, but the bottom is pretty much painted in. So this is on gold shikishi board. And now I'm all out of metallic shikishi board, so I have to order some more. But it's just been a lifesaver doing this kind of painting for me. And I want to try to interpret more of my landscape photographs into an Eastern Western kind of painting. So it's really been calming for me and quite therapeutic.
Thank you, Debbie. I will talk more on the the unrecorded chit chat, because one of the things that I realized, I didn't intend to go out to do that, but then I realized certain things that the online workshop offering not only helped me to continue to be able to teach, but then in the communication with my students, some of them are existing students, but some of them are actually new students, and some of them are actually new artists that because some of them they know me but have not really been to my class because of the location, before the online courses, unless you're traveling to my area or I'm traveling to your area, we were unable to meet. So, some of them know of me, but then have not attended my class. But then there are also students that have never attended my class, may not even heard of me, that joined. But one way or the other, what I find out, in some of the communication is that not only is the classes helpful to them to grow as an artist, there are certain elements that we can connect as human beings and also as artists. And that's one of the reasons that some other courses may not have, but I have is this Zoom chat. Initially, I did not, set out to be like a chit chat. I thought it will be more like a Q&A when people, for example, when they saw the video and maybe I didn't explain something well enough, so, they can ask again and I can, maybe further elaborate on that and things like that. And then instead of just being one-on-one, then it being a Zoom chat, with need be, I can show you, okay, this is how you do the brushwork. Remember there's one time I did the roses, the turned petal. I actually did it again in the Zoom chat so people can see it again in case, the video may have, a different angle and things like that. So, initially I thought it would serve that purpose. But as going forward, it actually become more like a friendly chat with I don't have sufficient kind of pre-planned questions and things like that. But then what I find out is it actually help us connect on a human level. And as artists, we need to connect so we can grow in the technique and also in the vision of an artist. But I think it's also the chit chat, just to feel that you are not isolated, because for many of us, depending on our situations and how bad is the infection in the area that we are in and things like that, we may not be going out by choice, and we may not be gathering even with family member by choice, because we don't want them to infect us and we don't infect them if we are infected, things like that. So that is helpful. And back to Debbie, I have to say that when I teach Pomo, I have a completely different group of followers. What I find out is that, especially when I was teaching in Plaza, a local art store, the Sumie students, I have a following that they continues to come. So not all of them are beginners. Some of them are have come to my sommelier workshop all the time, so they have an idea of what is sommelier and just build on that experience. But when I come to Pomo, a lot of times I have a different set of followers, and some of them are watercolors or even acrylic or craft artists that just want to learn a new kind of technique. And the funny thing is, even I've never met them, when they start pouring the ink onto the shikishi board, I immediately can guess their personality because they are people who will follow instruction directly and to the point, while some are loosely following directions, and then there are some that like the direction are completely out the door and they do their own thing. But after they did all that, and then after 2-3 hours, when we went through the pouring and the refinement and things like that, the resulting artwork is a true representation of their personality. And I am so blessed to have you as my student that
Thank you.
that like I can see that you're obviously very talented, but then
you.
from the first Pomo that you did on the wave, kind of like a more freestyle because you need to release your emotions, to the more control and yet also freestyle pouring for the landscape that you did the top with pouring and the refinement on the bottom. I can see like there are lots of things that you pull from the knowledge that you have and things like that, and I'm so glad that you love the shikishi board. You probably realize that like our students told me that they have a hard time finding the shikishi board, and after searching I actually convinced Plaza to carry it for us.
And that's where I get it from.
Of course, as I say, full disclosure, I did not get any kickback or
Right.
anything from them.
Right.
Like they just sell it, like the way they sell it. But then I think is in the pandemic when our store are also struggling, like I really appreciate them helping us out, and then for us to buy from them, so we help them out. So it's a win-win situation, and I'm glad that I was the catalyst. So thank you, Debbie.
Thank you.
So anyone have any comments or suggestions for Debbie?
I have a question, Debbie. How did you get the background? Because your landscapes have such depth to them. So did you have like different layers of pouring, or did you do it all at the same time?
On the ocean-like one, this one, I did put all the colors down at the same time. And I just moved the board back and forth. I think it was the ink that slowed some of the paint progression down. So it enabled me to control it a little bit. But on the landscape, I poured the sky, and then I did wait a little bit. I didn't touch the sky at all. I poured the sky and waited just a little bit. Then I poured the mountains, and then I did wait a little bit before I did the refinement on the bottom.
That's gorgeous.
So you have some amount of control with the drying times. Yeah. So it's in process.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Do we have another volunteer to share their art? Okay, Judy.
Okay, well, I took your lotus class, and I've been fascinated with the lotus for some time because the big leaves are such fun. So, and I also tried the Sakishi boards. I haven't had access to them, so I was kind of playing. And this is.
Oh, that's
Wow,
beautiful.
it's beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
Judy, say something so you get back onto the screen.
Okay. When I did the flower, I thought it needs something else. So I added the dragonflies. And the colors, I don't know, I put a little bit of pink at the base of the petal and on the tip, which I thought gave it a nice accent. So.
Wow, the dragonfly is so simple and nice. Yeah.
Thank you.
If,
you.
if people didn't know, Judy actually is a painter of lotus. Many of her artwork have beautiful, beautiful lotus. If you visit her website and her newsletter, she have lots of really beautiful lotus.
Thank you, Joan.
I'm interested in your board. Did you buy the board with the background like that and the white was the opening?
Yes.
Okay.
Joan had offered with the store that she deals with a special on Sakishi boards.
Okay.
And I bought about 24 of them.
Wow.
So I wanted to
Wow.
have some fun with them.
That's beautiful.
Uh-huh.
Thank you. This is another lotus that
Wow.
I tend to get very dramatic.
Very cool.
That is beautiful.
Very
It has a lot of energy.
Mhm,
Thank you.
mhm.
A lot of drama. I like putting holes in the leaves because they're fun. And they add such dimension to it. They're just fun.
Have you guys heard that, like our artwork is actually our self-portrait? Meaning that,
Really?
you may not be drawing a portrait of yourself as a figure, but then the flower, the mountain, the landscape, the bird, the dragonfly that you are painting actually is a representation of yourself. And especially when you look at your work in a collection, I mean, that's how we talk about personal style. Like unless you are someone that really into quote unquote copying and mimicking a particular person, but then even if you try, unless you try to be a forger, I don't think we can be too successful in copying one person, right? So if you look at your collection together, like if you are a lotus painter or if you are a landscape painter, just put like some of the work that you believe is kind of representational of you. And when you put it together and look at it as a collection, I do have to say that like if you compare with other artists, you will eventually find that that's your personal style, and in a way, it's also a representation of you. If you are a quiet person, or if you are a thinker, or if you have a very dramatic, energetic personality, I think that the brushwork, the choice of color, the design, even on a very subconscious way would show in your artwork. So our art are actually our self-portrait. And Judy, your lotus are a portrait of you.
Thank you. Thank you. I have such fun with it because, as I said, the leaves can be so big that there's so many options for color that you can really play with it. And
It's really a lot of fun. It's really beautiful.
It is. It is. Thank you.
Who would like to share their work?
I'll do it.
Because of okay, yes. Yes, Wayne.
This was from the crinkle paper class, which I had a lot of fun with.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Wow.
And did you mount that yourself?
Yes.
Because it looks pretty flat for being a crinkle.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it is mounted.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Thank you.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, the Crinkle Mountain, I add the two trees in the front because of the design. We don't need to have it, but then having it really pushed the mountain to the back. Yeah, but then the Crinkle Mountain is in my Snow Mountain videos. as a matter of fact, like in the chat section, we'll talk a little bit about that. I have various idea of video versus the Zoom workshop, and I would like to hear from like the authors to give me some suggestions and also bounce some ideas back and forth with that on that. That would be the later hour. Anybody have anything they want to share with us? Don't be shy. So I already said that like I'm prepared for in case everybody is quiet, and this is I kind of share it in one of my Zoom section about the accordion book, and accordion book come in different sizes, but then I have a really big one, right? This big. Okay, I think this is like the biggest one that they can have, and I have done this side with landscape of different kinds. So I decided the other side should be all flowers, and I have to say that I was kind of like lazier than I thought, because I started it with the New Year of 2020 with a kind of like a New Year painting. And then I kind of stop and leave it there for over a year and haven't picked that up, because when you think about it, is although this is the size, it's kind of better to have, like the left and the right in one painting. So the painting will be really big. So it's kind of hard to do composition. So one way or the other, because it's such a big painting, I haven't been doing it. But then I decided to do one for you guys to see. And one of the, actually, I think in maybe 2 weeks time, I have students asking me how to do the cover of my flower painting book. They want to know how do I add the background layer of another layer of magnolia in the background. So I decided to do it in the Zoom workshop, and I also decided to do it in my book. So this is the painting that I did for the book. So let's see if I can show it to you. Like this is the painting.
Nice. Gorgeous.
And the interesting thing about that is there are actually 2 layers of the magnolia. There's a second layer in the back, and of course the moon. Yeah. And drawing it is kind of tricky in the accordion book, because you cannot make the paper too wet, because then the whole book is wet, and then you will wet all the other paper. So I'm not sure whether you can see it. I actually have some plastic to insert between the paper when I was doing this, to make sure that the moisture does not pass through to the back. Otherwise, it would damage, or it would have kind of ink marks for my next painting. But this is the magnolia and moonlight that I did for the accordion book. And I have done kind of half of it here, so I still have this half to do. And hopefully I will have inspiration enough, because I hope to finish this book before the end of the year. But then I am not sure, because it's already October.
What size is that book? That's really gorgeous.
The size of the book, let me just take a quick ruler. It's pretty big. Let's see. It's 14 inches by 17.5 inches. So
Wow.
So because it's double, so when you open it, it'll be 28 inches by 17.5 inches. So it's I mean, kind of like, if you put it this way, it's like 2 pieces of typing paper. So there'll be 4 pieces of typing paper with you, like, can imagine the size of it. And the accordion book do come in different sizes. it could be half the size, and then of course another half and things like that. It also depends on the manufacturer. The accordion book, I think a lot of the Sumier supply store may carry it, but then depends on the size. This size is probably better for the studio because I do know that like outdoor sketching, urban sketching is actually very popular now, and people are doing outdoor sketching, of course, with Western sketchbook. However, for Sumier artists, because of the material and the the absorbency of the paper, actually smaller sketchbook, smaller accordion book would be something that a sketcher would bring to do Sumier landscape. But then this size is not easy to carry outdoor. And as a matter of fact, when I'm painting it, I also need to, like make sure my table have the space. And when I open it, say for example, if I open it like this, and you see that the bottom, this is a lot heavier than this side. So I actually have to find some kind of book with that height to put it there. So the painting surface would be flat. So there are a little bit of consideration when you paint it. And of course, the artwork will always have a line in between because it's folded.
Looks challenging to work on it.
Yes, it's challenging. It is interesting because like the accordion book, thing about in the olden time is actually a way of like a painting. I mean, it's one of those formats that artists use. And occasionally you will see in art auction or in art galleries, sometimes you will find an artwork that is really nice, but there's a line in between. And the reason is because the collector or the gallery owner actually bought the accordion book and cut up the accordion book into two page, because usually the artwork is 2 page, and then sell them separately instead of together as an accordion book. And that's why when you go to art galleries, or when you are in an art auction and you have framed art that has a line in the middle, the most likelihood is that because it was actually the accordion book that they kind of like cut each of the painting out and then frame it and sell it separately. And if you go to the Smithsonian, the Smithsonian has, like some really good collection of accordion book by really established artists. And what they would do is they would open that particular page, and then they would have the description and things like that on it. And just like the rotating show, and then next time they would turn to another page and then they would talk about it. So usually is not the whole book being shown, but occasionally, sometimes I will paint the whole book together. Maybe I'll do it. I'll show you guys that in my next Zoom chat. I'm not sure whether everybody knows. I'm actually a federal worker, my other life. And before the pandemic, I actually work in Washington, D.C. and my agency has a building that is right in the middle of Washington, D.C. on 17th Street. And it really look out and can see the Washington Monument. As a matter of fact, July 4th, it can see the best fireworks, okay? And so what I did is, I had this idea of painting, and by the way, the building on the 7th floor, which is its top floor, around the corner is where the cafeteria is, the staff cafeteria. And so we can actually stand on the balcony and can, from the corner of our building, can see, like to the west and also to the east, like the panoramic view of Washington, D.C. is really the best view. So I have this idea that I will draw an accordion book of the entire panoramic view, and I did that. And of course, I cannot do it in one sitting. So what I did is I bought my accordion book. I start from the very beginning on the one end of my corner, and I did, like 20 minutes of sketch. And then I bring it back down to my office. And then 2-3 days later, when I don't have meeting and I have enough time during my lunchtime, I'll go up there and then I'll draw another one. And then, if it's not too cold, then I'll do it again. but of course, if it's raining or if I, just am out of town, I can't do it. So I think the whole thing, I mean, I have to go back and check. I think it's more than a year when I finished that, but it's really interesting to see because it's it go, from one end to another, and there are different weather. Sometimes it's sunny, sometimes it's cloudy. I mean, it's never raining, but sometimes it's actually a slight flurry. And then, things will be covered in snow and some of them would be spring. And I actually note on each of the end of my 2-pager that what happened. And I still remember there's one, because I can see the building, I can see the White House Executive Building. And occasionally when something happened, the flag would be on half flag. And I remember one time it was on half flag because John Glenn, the astronaut, who is also a politician, he passed away. So, to honor him, it was on half flag. And I actually wrote down, Chinese painting, they have little inscription. So I actually wrote down the flags on half flag because of John Glenn, and the date and the time and things like that. So I will bring that and share it in my next Zoom chat. And that's my little accordion book. Yeah.
Oh, that would be so cool to see.
It's very small though, it's because it had to be handy. So it's very small, but and also I think it's only ink because you think about during lunchtime, you just cannot be too elaborate because and I still remember a lot of different things I do when I painted it. It was interesting, but I'll share that next time. Anyone has any other things to share on especially on the painting side? It doesn't have to be artwork that we created from the workshop. It could be something that you work on your own. We were more than happy to see it.
I just had a question about, we do plein air painting with my watercolor group. When you do you do Sumier plein air painting, or is it mostly sketching with ink like you just described? Or, when you set up at home, you've got the felt, you've got the porcelain dishes, you have a lot of equipment. So how do you do that when you go off your studio site to your outside site?
Yes. We can, okay, I'll show you in the next chat. We have so much in the next chat, right?
Okay.
I actually have prepared something for Sumier sketch. Basically, what I did is I found a cardboard or like the supporting board, because of weight. At home, you can use a sketchboard and things like that. But then since I want it to be light, I actually get a cardboard and then I cover it in felt. Okay. And that become my background. And then I have clips and I have rice paper pre-cut to the size just slightly smaller than my board, and I'll carry it with me because I have done. Okay, Noreen may have something to show. So Noreen, speak up so you can see it.
Yeah, this is it's really just foam core and spray glued felt on top of it. And
yes, that's similar to what I did. Just find something that is stiff. You can just use
I use either some kind of clips to hold the paper so it doesn't blow away.
Yes, yes. And you pre-cut your rice paper to be similar size to your board, so it would not, you don't have to tackle with that later, but basically just have the felt on it. I did not glue on it, but what I did is I used Scotch tape to actually wrap the entire board in the foam core, which is the same thing, right?
Well, I've also found that if I take, like several pieces of rice paper and put it on here, and if it's a little windy, I will, instead of having to take it off, I'll get another piece of felt and slip it under, like we used to do with carbon paper and stuff. And then I can paint the top layer without undoing all the other layers and still protecting them.
Yes, yes. Yeah, which is
saying that I really don't do much plein air painting, but I'm prepared.
That's good.
And then for the sketching side, it really depends on your painting style. some people, like even in Sumi, some people like to do things with more outline, while others like it to be more direct painting and without outline. So it really depends on your personal painting style. I do think that when you sketch, in a way, is to put you in the environment. Of course, you can record your emotion, right? But then another thing is to kind of force you to really take in what is in front of you directly onto paper. And it really depends on what you want to practice. I do both, because you probably know that I also do gongbi painting, and I also do, what we call boneless painting. And so it really depends on the subject. For mountain, for edges, for trees, I usually just do it freehand. And then for buildings and things like that, a lot of times it will have a slight outline, but because it's Sumi painting, it would not be something that you do a pencil sketch or a charcoal sketch. However, it really depends on what you do. And besides, it doesn't have to be buildings. We can go to the garden and actually sketch peonies and grapes and, like the plant, the morning glory in your garden. And I have done that with the board that Noreen has, with the felt cover, and would but just be painting peonies, painting flowers. As a matter of fact, I actually have a photo of me doing this here. This is actually a photo of me when I was doing some sketching. And this is the peony garden. It's called Cricket Hill Garden in Connecticut. And this is me. And this is actually a board that is covered in felt with a piece of rice paper on top. So you can see that I was, this is my watercolor setup. And I was actually holding a Sumi brush, and the peony was the boneless style. And I was actually holding a really fine brush because I think I'm doing the vein. But this is a photo that the gardener took of me and gave it to me later. But this is how you do the kind of like a peony study. So it doesn't have to be landscape or cityscape. It could be floral as well.
Okay, thank you.
And we can do that in the, especially when you want to do animal. If you want to do animal, of course, you have a lot of photo reference. But then, one of the best things to do is actually go to the zoo and watch them, and bring your sketch material and actually paint them. I have to say that the only thing is, usually they are sleeping, because otherwise they don't stand still. So most of my sketches of animal in the zoo, they are sleeping. They are really calm. But in a way, that's easy because they are sleeping. So I can, they are there and they're not moving. But it's kind of fun because it forces you to actually be very observant of their proportion, very observant of their gesture. And sketching does a lot of good for our brushwork, our art, and just very good technique training.
I have,
Yes. Yeah, go ahead, Kelly.
I don't
Just
know.
say something so we can see it on screen.
Can you see it?
Yes. Yeah. Continue to say something, otherwise it will switch to me.
Well, this isn't exactly a new painting, but I thought since it's Halloween in a couple of weeks, I put it up there because it was kind of fun. I like doing this kind of painting. So that's all, not new.
I like the use of the green, the stone green on the leaves. It really pops on the background.
I like the style, and like you said, it's kind of a self-portrait because I'm more abstract, sort of realistic abstract or whatever, but anyway, that's it. All my other paintings are in the studio, and I haven't done anything much lately. So
I also like that you did not color the whole thing black. The black is more like a energetic, like splash of color. but by doing that, it actually gives it more personality. I like it a lot.
Yeah, me too. I should probably mount it and sign it.
I think you should.
Mhm.
I know, I'm still meaning to take your signing class. I just haven't done it yet, so I can sign my name.
Yeah, the signing class, I have to say that, like it is a calligraphy class, but not really, because I have to say that, like when you are serious about to become a calligrapher, especially in the Eastern School of Learning Calligraphy, it's not just one style. You have to learn from the standard script and also go back into various script, from the seal script to the various standard script by master, because if you're really into calligraphy, there are master by the last name of Wang, by the last name of An, Shell, and things like that. And each of them has a slightly different way of handling the brush. But then if you are really going to be serious about calligraphy, you have to actually learn the script, the basic stroke, and then follow a particular style, the Wang style, the An style, the Jill style. And then from there, also learn the seal script. And then, if you like, you can move on to like the running script, the grass script, and things like that. So,
Well-
so it is a lifelong learning, which,
Right.
there's no shortcut. However, what I notice is a lot of non-Chinese speaking artists would like to sign their name. And depending on their style, many of my students, because I practice mostly the Lingnan style and Bongna style, so the center script would not be the best one to match their art because of the style, and the seal script would be a little bit too formal. So what they want is actually the running style or the grass style, kind of like a more smooth and cursive style of writing. But in order to have that, as I mentioned, if you really go the route, it's a whole lifetime of learning. You have to do all the things that I talk about before you actually go to the running style. What I did is, like a calligrapher would actually kill me on that. But what I'm going to do is, we are focusing on your name only. So you are not going to know how to write all the Chinese characters, the 3,000 to 5,000 that we use daily, because there are more than 10,000 words, right? We're not going to be fluent in the language or fluent in writing a poem or the description of your artwork. We are going to focus on your name, and then, with possible the year, month, day, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, so you can figure out, like 2021 spring month, June, painted, so we will have that. And the year, month, day, 1 to 10, 4 seasons, we'll have that in the videos. And the name itself, because, like I cannot predict your name. So what I'm going to do is, when you sign up, I'm going to email with you to see if you already have a seal that you already made. Because, for example, if you have a seal that is already made, then I can tell this word and this word, there are 3 different words. So I can figure out what these words are. And by knowing these words, I can write down the center script for you, and I'll write down the cursive script for you. And depending on your style, the center script would be more likely for something that is a little bit more elaborate. And then the cursive style would be something that is more freehand. And what I will do is, I will actually write down the step for you how to do that. I'll actually mail it to you on a real piece of paper, right? Because I have to say that if I email it to you, then you have to find a way to print it, or you have to have your computer with you all the time when you try to practice it. Honestly, the easiest way to learn calligraphy is to not trace, is to actually copy by putting it here and then copy it here. Meaning looking at it, but copying, but not tracing. One thing I really want to emphasize is tracing, tracing by, like putting a piece of paper on top, because I don't want to offend anyone, but then recently I have seen a particular artist in the class, a light box is being used, and then a piece of artwork sketch, and then a piece of rice paper on top and tracing, which is a way of painting. But the thing is, if you are really into learning the stroke to actually do the muscle training for your hand, I'm not completely against tracing, especially for beginners, but then it is a better muscle training for your eyes, not just for your hand, but for your eyes, to actually place it, say, for example, like if I am painting this, I'll put my paper here. So I can look at it and then paint it here instead of putting it on top and trace, because it trains your eye to see as well. So especially for calligraphy, that's what I'll do. And that is the Sign Your Art workshop. I think I do have a few students that has signed up for that. You know, I'm looking forward to seeing how their signature become. And, you know, hopefully, you know, like, because I mean, everybody is included to email up to 3 pieces of artwork for my suggestions and things like that. I can't wait to see how it looks like and, you know, provide suggestions so they can actually sign their name with confidence, you know, in their artwork, if they prefer to sign it in the Chinese way. Yeah, so that would be something cool. So I look forward to having you.
Good. Well, after watching the calligraphy workshop, the national, he was wonderful, but holy cow, way overwhelming. Like you said, all the different scripts. There's no way I'm going to study all that. But
because a serious calligrapher, that's what you have to do.
right.
And I am not really into calligraphy because you know, as I say, it's a whole lifetime of discipline. However, even with the limited amount of skill that I have in calligraphy, I have collected a lot of calligraphy books because in order to be able to even have a kind of like tip of the iceberg of what the field is, the center script, the various style from by Wang, by An, by Jill, but and by, you know, some other great calligrapher. And on top of that, if you are really into calligraphy, there are various, they call stone rubbing, you know, because in the olden time, that's how things got passed on to the next generation. The artist would actually write the poem or the message on a piece of rice paper. And then the original work is actually destroyed because it becomes, you know, just like wood carving, it becomes stone carving. They will paste the artwork, like, you know, whatever it is, you know, they will, this is the original calligraphy. They will actually paste it onto a piece of stone, glue it on it, and then a skillful carver will actually carve out the word, whether the word is concave or convex, right? So you know, either way, they will actually paste the calligraphy onto the stone, and then they carve out either the negative space or the positive space. So that become a piece of stone. And when later generation who want a copy of this great calligraphy work, they will actually do a stone rubbing. They will put ink on it and then, you know, put a piece of rice paper and then rub and get the imprint. So that would be the imprint of that, whether, as I say, so sometimes you'll see great art, great calligraphy, and it's like, why is the word white? Because the carving was done in such a way that the white is actually the word. So it's concave, I mean, that's also is convex, and therefore the stone rubbing would be the negative space. And that's why it's like white. And because even it's stone, you are talking about 500 years, 1,200 years ago in the, you know, like whatever dynasty that particular calligrapher lived. And because of them, the stone also get damaged. because of repeated rubbing and also because of maybe some transportation or some, like earthquake or what have you. So sometimes they are also ink marked to fill up the gap in it. So what I'll do is I'm actually writing this down. So after we talk about the accordion book, in a future Zoom chat, we'll talk about the calligraphy, especially I'll bring you some of the stone rubbing samples, because I do have some of those black and white samples and things like that, because I think it's kind of interesting. I mean, the information is not something that I will put into a course for you to sign up and learn, but then I think it's just good information for people to know, and it's interesting if you are into Sumier and calligraphy. It's just interesting information to know. Yeah, so I'll do that. I just wrote it down.
Good. Well, again, watching him though, I really learned a lot to, control and practice, and it was very good. Did you
One
know
of the things he talked about is the brush touching the paper and actually go up and down a little bit.
Yeah.
He go up and down a bit. And some of the Sumier artists who attended the workshop actually call and email me and ask me, Jung, I've never seen that. What is he doing? And I said, in Chinese calligraphy and painting, we have a word called meaning that the energy or the power actually went through the paper to the back of the paper. And what it means is the power of the brush, the strength of your brushwork actually go to the bottom of the paper, not just on the surface. And what he was doing when he was, having the brush, and then I'm sure you can see it, right? Having the brush, and of course it's pointed, but then he, instead of just going down the line, he's just doing this like up, down, up, down, up, down, before he moved like 1 millimeter to the next one, up, down, and then go down. What he's doing is he's trying to force the energy of the brush, of the hand, and the ink onto the paper. Yeah, it's a very, you have to kind of imagine the energy going from your hand into here onto the paper by going up, down, up, down, up, down. Right? So, if you have not tried it, try it a little bit. It's called like Tao Ji Bui to
I have.
force the
Help me
energy
slow
onto the
down. It helped me slow down making any kind of lines, not just going, but not even for calligraphy, but for rocks or mountains.
It's the strength. It's the strength that
Very
you are
helpful.
asserting onto the paper.
But it was very strange to me because I've dabbled in calligraphy for 20 years and I have never heard that concept before.
It is a very common concept, but I have to say that a lot of times, especially for calligraphy classes that are taught in America, because a lot of the students are not really trying to become a calligrapher, but they want to have the kind of the breadth of the knowledge, but not the depth, because they want the information to help them to do something else, So because of that, a lot of the teachers, first of all, they may not know the information, or they have the information, but because of they don't need to go that far deep into it, so therefore they were not taught, or it's just they decided not to include in the curriculum. But as I say, Mr. Wang is an expert calligrapher, and he doesn't paint, he only does calligraphy. So that's something that he wants to share with the student in the workshop. And as I say, this stepping up and down, is new to a lot of people. But if you are into calligraphy, that is a concept to have the strength. Because I'm actually, because I'm lower, but if I'm standing and I'm doing this, the shoulder, actually the body, the shoulder to the elbow, to the wrist, and then from the wrist, through the wrist to your pen, which when you're doing calligraphy is vertical. So you're here, down, from here, and then onto the paper is that one line of strength have to go all the way down, and that's why you dabble in it, right? You have to try it to
I
kind of
think it
feel that
worked.
that
I was
strength.
just surprised. And, you know, I mean, I took from Professor, from Cecil Wahara and
Yes.
from Mao, Dr. What's his name? Bertram Mao.
Mhm.
And neither one of them mentioned that, much less taught it.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
I
it-
was very surprised,
It-
but
it
I
is-
thought it
it is a
worked.
very common concept because
Yeah.
it's kind of needed. It's the energy that go in.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
I-
you explained it
I
better.
noticed that we have reached our hour. So I want to know, is anybody else trying to share their artwork? If not, I'm actually going to end the recording part of the of our meeting. So we'll go to the unrecorded Zoom chat, right? So last call for people, you know, trying to share the artwork. Okay, no, all right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the recording. So thank you everybody for joining us. I'll be posting this and I'll let you know when the posting is ready. So let me just stop that.